What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today we're doing a review of the old Mercury 60 horse here, the 4-stroke. If you have a 50 or 40 horse or are looking to get one, also pay attention because they are just detuned 60 horse engines. You'll want to stick around, see what modifications I have made to this guy and to see what problems I have had as well. So my first problem is right under the cowling, right here, this silver piece right here. This guy is the low pressure fuel pump for the engine. A pin broke in it and is lodged somewhere in the engine. I actually spent $600 for someone to look in here and try to find it, and they never found it. And talking to several people, several YouTubers, or several people on YouTube, that, hey, it really doesn't matter. They talk to Mercury techs. It happens all the time. And I essentially threw away 600 bucks. So if you have had the same issue with this motor, or if you have the same issue and you lose a little bitty pin inside the engine, don't fret too much. Just get you a new fuel pump and move on with life. Don't waste your time and your money like I did. I wasted probably 6 weeks of fishing, prime fishing time. So let's not do that again, but hopefully that helps you guys out there. Problem number 2 is toward the front of the engine, and it's actually right here where you see this electrical tape. Now, this electrical tape is actually helping out hold the harness into the connector. The connector and the harness actually became slightly detached here, and it started throwing all sorts of errors to the front of the boat, where I would be on plane and all of a sudden you get the high pitch alarm and you really don't know what's going on. So after some investigation and looking into it, this connector that connects, really everything from the helm of the boat to your ECM here, was not connected all the way, and that explains why all those errors were thrown as well. So if you ever have just some random errors and alarms go off at the front of your boat, be sure you check this connector, make sure it's nice and tight, and make sure that whatever you do to repair it, such as I did the electrical tape here, is a permanent fix. So here are some modifications that I've made to my old Mercury 60 horse here. Now this one, the hydrofoil, I did not install. So I don't have any performance data before or after. Well, I do have after, but I don't have any before data or any way. I guess I could take it off, but right now I don't have any plans on taking it off. But I don't have any before data before someone installed it. And honestly, I don't know if it makes a big difference as far as getting on plane or being stable. But I do know that I have changed out the Mercury Black Max prop for this Mercury Spitfire prop of the exact same pitch. I believe I went from 14 to 14, and I have noticed a huge difference in how the boat will take off on plane, and I also have noticed a huge difference on how well it stays hooked up, especially when doing tight turns or going over wakes or waves. With my Black Max, I noticed that you couldn't take too sharp of turns without having it blow out on you. So I wanted to upgrade props. The other one was kind of beat up. So if you haven't seen my video already, I did do a Black Max to Spitfire comparison. I'll link that up in the information cards above, and I'll also put it down in the description as well in case you forget to go there. But I do love the Spitfire, and I do recommend you pick one up if you do have one of these engines, because it does make a huge difference. Okay, so I do take good care of this engine. It is a 2011 engine, and when I bought it 2 years ago, it had 17 hours on it. It came with the boat. and I believe it was the original engine because it is the same year as the boat. Now, I've taken very good care of it, changing the oil filter, and the gear lube in the bottom. And if you haven't checked out my videos on how to do that, definitely check those out. Some of those are my earlier videos, so please excuse the videos themselves. They're very crusty, but they do get the information out there to you, and you will hopefully perfectly understand how to do those if you haven't already. But like I said, I change all my fluids regularly. I do inspections quite frequently, take the cowling off, look for any breaks or frays or anything that's going on in this area. I try to keep a good eye on my engine. That way it doesn't leave me stranded. This engine has treated me very well. I haven't had but a couple issues with it, and it hasn't ever left me left for dead in the water. I do have, since this low pressure fuel pump did go out on me, it was pretty close to leaving me stranded, but I do have this ball back here. You're not really supposed to have these with the low pressure fuel pumps because you can damage the diaphragm in here. But I had the ball here so I could actually kind of keep some fuel going and get me back home. I wanted to point out some of the gauges here that are related to the engine. We have the speedometer. I have actually tested this against the GPS quite a bit, and I've had very minimal, on lakes this is, very minimal difference between the GPS and this gauge. Obviously I don't go much above 30 because that's all she's got. The voltmeter has always been on point as well. I checked it with obviously my fish finders here. You can always double check your voltage on your batteries with the voltmeter here or with the fish finder, and I found them to be actually pretty close to one another. And the RPM gauge here also does pretty good information. It's really good to tell me where I've trimmed out enough. I know once I get to about 5,600 RPMs, that's about all she's going to give me. And if I try to give it any more trim, she'll blow out eventually, especially if I hit a wave. But overall, all these gauges up here work pretty well, even after 10 years of age, and I'm pretty happy with it. All right, so we have here the gear shifter, also part of the unit as well. Kill switch has worked perfectly every time that I've forgotten, left it on. Never actually intentionally had to use it, thank goodness, but it works. Also, if you leave this guy in gear, it will not let you start it. So that's also a great feature I love about this engine as well. And we have the trim switch here, which is extremely handy when you want to try to keep a hand on the gear shifter and a hand on the steering wheel. I don't go really all that fast, so having a trim switch on the steering wheel doesn't really make sense. Maybe when I get a little faster boat. And if you don't know how to rev up your engine without putting it in gear, you simply can press the center button here, and then also you have to also press this button as well. But this will rev up the engine without having to put it in gear. So if you need to give her some throttle, or you want to warm her up a little faster on one of those cold winter mornings, hey, there you go. You can help her on warm on up. That is probably going to conclude our video here today. Overall, this Mercury has treated me fairly well. She has given me some fits from time to time, but being, I have a little bit of mechanic background, working on a farm and that kind of thing. It's nothing that I haven't been able to handle, at least to get me home. Overall, I didn't really want to break into the engine to find that pin, so I paid someone to do it. And it turns out I just threw my money away anyways. But I got it back in one piece, and she's treated me well ever since. But if you're thinking about getting one of these, either the 40, 50, or 60s, I do recommend it. They're budget friendly, and they're actually pretty easy to maintain. But like always, until next time, get out there and go catch you some fish.